Hey everybody!
It's time for music news
Today is a great day.
with your host, Cliff Withers. Good evening and a long time no see to you all. Welcome back to Music News. I am your host, Cliff Withers. We are at the end of yet another year, and this time also the end of a decade. Things are about to get crazy, people. So I think it's only right that we talk about the year in music. I really wanted to do a recap of the decade, but that would have been too much. Before we get into that, I know you guys are probably wondering, well, at least the people who have watched my previous episodes are probably wondering, where's his blue mic and why is he wearing this bucket hat? But, you're asking a lot of questions, and I don't really have the answers for those questions, so I think we should just move on. So, moving right along, our first segment of the day will be Cliff's Albums You Should Know. These are a collection of albums released in 2019 that I feel like even if you haven't heard them yet, you still have some time to, and you definitely should. So here we go. First up, we have Miss Ariana Grande for her album, Thank You Next. Album was really, really great. I was pleasantly surprised when I first heard this, not just because of the songs that are really great, but the message behind the project as well. Basically, it was her saying, I've been through so much in my life, and although I have been through so much, I'm grateful for those experiences because they made me who I am, and I'm ready for what is to come next for me. Album on the list of some of my favorite projects of the year is While We Wait by Kehlani. Need I say more? I mean, if you haven't heard this project, I think you are a terrorist who should be incarcerated in jail. Project was dedicated to her child, hence the name. While we wait for the baby. Not the baby, the baby. There's a difference. Moving right along into our third pick, this is When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish. Now, I would say, I don't know if you've heard of her, but I know you've heard of her. She's pretty much everywhere, everywhere. But rightfully so. Can't really get jiggy with all the shit she be doing in her music videos, making spiders crawl on her face and black liquid flowing from her eyes and singing songs about good girls going to hell and all this crazy whatnot. But looking past that, she does have great music. I'd like to add, her album is very well crafted. Lots of different sounds, different ideas. I will say it's definitely one of the better put together albums I've heard this year. Sonically, dope. Coming up next, another album that I love dearly, Ventura by Anderson .Paak. And if you haven't heard this album, we even get into the songs and the sound of the album, I just want to acknowledge that Anderson .Paak gave us two fire-ass albums in the span of a year. Oxnard, which was very rap heavy, and then Ventura, which is very R&B heavy. And I just want to say thank you. Wherever you are, Anderson, thank you. Y'all, these features on Ventura, this man got Andre 3000, Smokey Robinson, Brandy, Layla Hathaway, Jasmine Sullivan, and Nate Dogg. Are you Great album. Great album. But moving along, the next album that we have on the list is Homecoming, the live album by Beyonce Knowles Carter. Now, y'all, I could do a whole piece on this. I could make an episode on this album. There's so much to talk about. Not only the fact that Beyonce is the first black woman to headline Coachella, it's not only the fact that she turned her Coachella performance into a Netflix documentary and a live album. It's not the fact that she brought a whole black college experience to that. And it's everything. No cap. In all seriousness, if you haven't heard the Homecoming album, if you haven't seen the documentary, if you haven't seen Beachella, then I don't know. Number 7 on our list is 'Cause I Love You by Lizzo. Now, people may have their opinions on Lizzo. Some people think she's not a rapper. Some people think she's a singer. Some people think, she should just put more clothes on. But the point is, the album is fire. And if you haven't heard it, hear it. Next album on the list is for all the ladies out there. This is Fever by Meg Thee Stallion. Seems like just yesterday, Meg blasted onto all of our radars after Big Ol' Freak went viral and blew up. And then she gave us this, pretty much the soundtrack to Hot Girl Summer, so to speak. Next up, another fire-ass album, Igor by Tyler, the Creator. I don't care what nobody says. Tyler, the Creator, is a visionary. He has managed to top himself with every release that he's had, to be honest. I think every time I hear an album by him, I think, oh, this is the best he can do. And then he just goes above. It's crazy. Up, your favorite white brothers, Jonas Brothers. They're back with another album. Happiness Begins. The last we've heard of them was probably back in Disney Channel days for them. And I remember shortly after, Joe Jonas tried to go solo and do his debut album, and he flopped horribly. The real Beyonce of the brothers, Nick, had to break through and become his own man and give us real music, real bops, and show his brothers exactly who he is. And he actually decided to do some charity work and put them on his back again. Moving right along, the next album on the list, well, it's not really an album, but for the purposes, it's an album. 7, the EP by Lil Nas X. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The only songs on the album that I've heard are Old Town Road, Panini, and Rodeo with Cardi B. Yeah, I mean, I have no interest in the other songs, but those 3 are great. And I know some people had their thoughts about Lil Nas X after Old Town Road became the biggest hit in history, saying that he was a one-hit wonder and that he couldn't do anything as good as Old Town Road. But they were wrong. I always knew that Lil Nas X was no one-hit wonder. I knew that his one hit, Old Town Road, was, getting on my damn nerves, especially with all these remixes he kept making. But, I don't blame him. He wanted to capitalize on his fame. Capitalize. Next on our list is Chris Brown with his album, Indigo. I know what you're probably thinking. Chris Brown, the guy who abused Rihanna, the guy who assaulted Frank Ocean, the guy who Karrueche has a restraining order out against, the guy who keeps making the same song on every fucking project he drops. Hear me out. Now, I am aware Chris does have the tendency to make similar sounding music, but Indigo is really good. Undecided, No Guidance with Drake, Heat with Gunna, bops, hits, at least listen to the singles. They're really good. Now, for another album that I feel very strongly about, Beyonce's album, The Gift, which was the soundtrack to The Lion King. If you want to hear an assortment of amazing artists, including Beyonce, make Afrobeat music that works very well, different vibes, different types of moods for every song, just uplifting great bops, listen to this album. And if you haven't yet, moving right along, I guess you can call this an album, Care Package by Drake. And wow, was this a special release. If you're like me and have been a fan of Drake for years, you know that he has a lot of songs that he never released that are just bops, just great songs that I was waiting for them to be released properly, and he finally did it this year, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, people. The Motion? Are you kidding me? Draft Day? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. How about now? Next up on the list, we have When I Get Home by Solange. Now, I know a lot of people were expecting something similar to A Seat at the Table when she released this album, and it was very abstract, different than usual songs you'd hear from other artists, and I commend her so much for her individuality. It takes real balls to not only be the sister of Beyonce and to do your own thing, but to also really do your own thing, and that nothing sounds like what you're making. Like, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Next up, we have somebody who has been trying for years to just do something of relevance and just hasn't been able to do it since one time, from her first album. Tinashe with her album Songs for You. Last time I heard anything from her was 2 On featuring Schoolboy Q, and she's actually finally been able to release a project that people have listened to. So, congrats. Next up, we have another album and artist that I feel very strongly about. Hot Pink by Doja Cat. So I had heard about Doja Cat prior to her Moo song that went viral, but I never really gave her the time of day. And then when I heard that, I'm like, okay, she's dope. And then I started listening to her other stuff. Tia Tamara with Rico Nasty among those songs. And I can honestly say I am a big fan of Doja Cat. I like the way she approaches her music. I think she's very interesting. Her visuals are always dope as well. If she's not on your radar, she needs to be, especially going into this new decade. Give her things. Last but not least, we have K Tronada with his album Bubba. So I've been a fan of K Tronada's for years, and I mean years. And when he said that he was about to release this album at the end of the year at that, I was like, wow, okay, so I guess he's coming to save the industry at the end of the decade, just like him. Extremely star-studded cast on the track list. You've got people from Estelle to Pharrell Williams to Kali Uchis to Sir to Tidra Moses, Duran Bernard. Incredible. With that, we will be transitioning into the second half of this episode, which will be the defining moments of 2019. All the moments that I feel should be mentioned either because they were crazy or inspiring or just hilarious. So first up, we have Kanye West and his Jesus is King album. I have a lot to say, but for the purpose of keeping this telecast brief, I'm just going to say I appreciate him for wanting to spread, that good news throughout his music, but it all kind of does seem a bit cultish. Next up, we have Scooter Braun, who is the manager to artists such as Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, and more, who made news headlines when he bought the master recordings of all of Taylor Swift's music. For those of you that don't know, when somebody buys your masters, it basically means that they own your music and you don't. So you can't do certain things with it, like perform it or push it, sell it, things like that. While it is a horrible thing that happened to Taylor Swift, it happens a lot to a lot of other people. Like JoJo, for one. And if you don't know who she is, educate yourself. Also making headlines this year, Billie Eilish became the first artist born in the 21st century to top the Billboard Hot 100 charts, which is a major feat. Congratulations to Miss Eilish. A major headline from this year was when A$AP Rocky was locked up in jail in Sweden. Don't really remember why. I think it was a misunderstanding why he was there, but it just further proves my point that we live in the Twilight Zone. Also this year, 6ix9ine. That's it. That's the comment. 6ix9ine was a thing. Still is kind of, but basically was a thing. Another major disappointment came from one of my favorite artists this year, Chance the Rapper, who dropped his long-awaited album, The Big Day, which basically was him for a good 30 minutes screaming, "I love my wife." Now, I have to talk about this. This damn chicken sandwich, because you niggas are crazy. All of these long lines, these altercations that broke out, people that died because of a chicken breast in between two pieces of bread with some mayonnaise and a pickle. Are you dead ass? Are you really dead ass? So this year, DJ Khaled made news twice, at least twice, but definitely twice. The first time being for his comments on oral sex. Basically, DJ Khaled said something along the lines of, "I'm not giving my wife oral sex because I'm a king and I don't do that." Meanwhile, he's built like Tito from Rocket Power. And he opened up his mouth again after Tyler, the Creator, got #1 album on the Billboard 200 chart for Igor, and DJ Khaled's album, Father of Assad, didn't. And he was outraged. He was basically saying that I make music for people to listen to and love and dance to, not mysterious shit that you don't know what's going on. And DJ Khaled, Doofenshmirtz, Jamboree Khaled. What is your problem? What is your problem? You don't even make the music that is on your album. I still want somebody to tell me what DJ Khaled does. Honestly, he doesn't make the beats, he doesn't write, he doesn't sing, he doesn't rap. He literally just gets people in the same room to make music. Yet he mad because he didn't get the #1 album. Like, someone make it make sense. So making headlines this year for some crazy ass comment that he made, T.I., who said that he goes into the gynecologist with his daughter to check her hymen to see if she's still a virgin. Like, somebody incarcerate Tip, please. Also, speaking of sickos and jail cells, R. Kelly and Bill Cosby are currently incarcerated, I do believe. So, praise the Lord. The Lord's work is being done. Is Miss Selena Gomez, who recently went through some health troubles, which I'm glad she was able to overcome them. But then she did that thing that she shouldn't do again, which is pick up a mic and start singing. She capitalized on it being a long time since she released music before, and dropped the song Lose You to Love Me, and it went to #1 on the Billboard charts. So clearly her fans are feeding her delusion. Now, at #3 on the countdown, so to speak, of moments of 2019, the moment when Donald Trump got impeached. Wow, what a moment. We know it has to go to the Senate, and the Senate is majority Republican, and they're probably not going to let it go. But hey, let's just bask in this win right now, okay? Next up, #2 on the list is white women who bought their children into college. Yo, I can't. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious that they didn't think that they would get caught. Hilarious that they did it anyway. Just hilarious. And #1 on the list of moments of 2019. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Jussie Smollett. we don't know if it was a lie or if it was true, but we pretty much know it's a fucking lie. It said he was in Chicago at like late in the night, and he went to Subway to get a sandwich and walked to Subway to get a sandwich. And when he went there, he saw 2 white men wearing MAGA hats. And apparently these MAGA hat wearing white men approached him saying, "Aren't you that gay N-word that is an empire?" And then beat him up, threw bleach on him, and then put a noose around his neck. And then it's just so many loopholes. It's just like, #1, why are you going to Subway at night? Why are you walking to Subway at white men in Chicago wearing MAGA hats? If they're really white supremacists, why do they know what empire is? And why are they just carrying nooses? And why are they just carrying bleach? Like, and then come to find out it was 2 large Nigerian men. But yeah, it's still a mystery why somebody would even try to make up a story like that. It just seems like very, I don't know, inventive. But yeah, that's the recap, y'all. This has been yet another music news episode with Cliff Withers. I thank you so much for tuning in and spending a portion of your Monday night with us. And stay tuned for more content, because we ain't done. We ain't done. We ain't done yet. No. I'd like to end this telecast with a special moment of silence for Juice WRLD, Nipsey Hussle, LaShawn Daniels, and every other musician and every other person this year who has passed.